Hi. Hey, it's Dr. Joy. Um, Today, I want to talk to you about living your purpose. Many of you know that I do a podcast daily on living a life of unlimited joy. And what I'm going to be doing is starting a new scope on step-by-step process as to how we can start living our dream. I'm finding that so many people are confused about things and they just throw in the towel and just not willing to put forth the effort and work toward their objectives and live their purpose. And I'm here to talk to you about that today. So, also, I have with me a very interesting young man, and he also serves as my support, my help from time to time, in addition to giving me the blues from time to time. So, one of the best things about us is that we challenge each other. So, and his name is Thomas Sapio, and I'd like for you to meet him. Thomas, say something, say hello, introduce yourself to the people, and let them know what you're about.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Sapio, as Dr. Joy just said. I am a life coach, a speaker, a reader. I like to impart whatever help or assistance I can with people, and of course, learning from Dr. Joy whenever I'm around her to give her the blues, as she aforementioned. Yeah, I think we're just going to talk about purpose tonight and what it means to each of us, and hopefully you guys can chime in and say what it means to you in the comments or anything like that, and give us hearts if you like what we're saying. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Thomas. And so, as a life coach, as a holistic healer, as a metaphysician, as a healer, I like to start first with that spiritual aspect, because I believe that when we are devoid of that spiritual connection, when we don't understand that we emanate from spirit and that there's one presence, and it doesn't matter whether you call it God, Jehovah, Allah, Buddha, anything else you can think of.
Spirit there.
The fact is spirit, energy is energy, and it's all the same thing, and we are all talking about the same thing. So when we can acknowledge that and understand that religion is simply the way we choose to practice, then we understand that we are not so far apart from each other. When you can understand that and know that you're made in the image and likeness of your Creator, when you know that you've been given free will, and above all other living things, whether they be plants, animals, angels, Risha, Loa, whatever else you got, the point is when you know that you have dominion, okay, and can co-create with the divine presence, with the one, with that presence that you understand, then you become power-filled as opposed to powerless. Okay, so one of the things that I want to talk about today is the fact that all of us have an assignment. We've been given an assignment prior to our incarnation on the planet, and in that regard, it means that there's our purpose. That's what we're supposed to be doing with our life. And if you find, and this is my contention, okay, this is what I have gathered from my studies, from my scriptures, okay, from my research, and from that divine pool of knowledge that I access as much as I possibly can, I know that when you are on the right path, then life is effortless. Okay? When you find that everything is a struggle and things are just not falling into place, and no matter what you do, you can't figure out the way to go, you're on the wrong path. And that pretty much is the handwriting on the wall. And too many times we disregard that. We keep trying to make the wrong things work. We keep thinking that this is going to be better than the other thing that we did before that didn't work out Okay, and we keep thinking, like Einstein said, the same mind that got you into trouble is not the mind that will get you out of it, because you don't have the capacity from where you are and from your experience to understand what's needed here. You are trying to solve the problem from within the problem, and you cannot do that, okay? This is the reason why people need a life coach, and people need, a little guidance, someone to help them along. They need a consultant or a spiritual counselor, okay? Because when you are locked up in that kind of situation and nothing you're doing is working, it's because you are bringing the wrong energy into it, and you are making the wrong assumptions, which, of course, cause you to do the same thing expecting different results. What do you think about that, Joseph? Thomas?
I think you're exactly right. This Stan is very excited about what we're talking about today. I think more than anything, it's really about intent, and we all do have a divine light inside of us. We all want to create. We all want to do something with purpose. And I think the most important part about purpose is finding your intention. Where do you want to direct that co-creator energy that you have? I think a lot of us, youthful years, spend a lot of time trying to figure out exactly what we want to do. And maybe when we hit 18 or 25 or whatever you want to say is the time where you really grow up and become an adult, we might not have found that one area we want to focus on. Or maybe we had it when we were younger. Maybe we were artists when we were younger. Or we had a passion that we just gave up in terms of having a life of struggle. Working jobs we don't love, being with people who don't treat us as special as we really need to be treated. So it's coming to terms with what you really want, where your happy is, and finding that intent and going after it, respecting yourself enough to say, I have a purpose in life, and if I don't have it right now, I'm going to take my time and my energy and I'm going to find it. And I think that's the very important first step, figuring out what's going to make you happy, where is your purpose, where is your intent, and just being honest with that and going for it every single time. Because if you're struggling every day, you're merely just existing as opposed to actually living. And that is a waste of time, and it's a waste of your energy that you have inside and all that creative light that you could be shining on the world. And the world definitely needs that. It needs more people who want to be out there passionate and having purpose every day. Because your little bit of purpose every single day is going to inspire other people to have that. And the more people doing that for each other, it's just going to become a better world, and it's going to be tenfold from there. So that is my take on it.
Well, I love that. I love that. But, one of the things that I find is true also for people is that people throw in the towel. They quit. They give in too easily. They feel as though certain things aren't working for them. It worked for other people. Why isn't it happening for me? Why? What do I have to do? If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any good luck. I wouldn't have any luck at all. They just go through the whole spectrum, and they become very depressed, and they end up, doing self-destructive things, looking for a way out, looking for resolution, looking for something to happen that would actually, bring about that which they desire. But they actually wall themselves away from the good things that life would otherwise offer.
Sure.
So, they are so far away from their purpose, they really don't know which direction to go in. And once you lose sight of your purpose, once you start to feel as though you just don't know the right things, or don't have the right skills, or can't produce, or can't measure up, then you have pretty much, sunk your own ship. Okay, before you even start. I mean, that's kind of the reason why so many people in our society are homeless today. It's also the reason why so many people are failing at their marriages and in their businesses, and also in their jobs.
Their self-image alone.
Their self-image. People are getting fat because they're insulating themselves from all the pain and suffering. They just can't take it anymore, psychologically or emotionally.
It's easy to be a hermit nowadays, unfortunately. I mean, in the past, you would have to go meet your friends somewhere. You couldn't just text them. I mean, you'd have to actually physically find someone. And nowadays, you can just text and say, I don't really want to hang out. You can be as flaky as you want. unfortunately, that flakiness transfers into business things. You can just say, "Ah, tomorrow I'll do it." You know, I have the internet. I can just do that tomorrow. I can do it on my phone whenever I want, maybe when I'm on the bus. And then you never do it because eventually your excuses become your habit and your intention becomes to make more excuses. So it's a terrible cycle. You know, you think, oh, I'm 30, you know, I can start tomorrow and maybe by 33 I'll have the life I want. And then you hit 40 and you think, oh, it's still not too late. The 40, you know, it's the new 30. And then eventually you're on your deathbed and you're saying, wow, so I have so many regrets. But you know what, I'm 70, maybe by 80 I'll have it. And, you know.
That's funny.
I just think any time wasted is time you could have been doing something you really like. And I don't know anyone who doesn't want to do things they like. And there's nothing wrong with doing something you like as long as you have the drive to do it.
Well, regardless to how old you are, as long as you still have breath in your body, you still a co-creator with the universe.
Absolutely.
And so, the thing is not to give up, not to throw in the towel, not to say, hey, it's too late now.
Right.
Even if you are on your deathbed, I mean, we've had or heard of miracles happening where people have been pretty much written off by the doctors, by their families, and everything. And the next thing, and the next day, you know, they're up and vibrant and happy, and it's like, hey, what's up? And the reason why is because they've chosen not to give up one life. They found a reason, and sometimes some of us have to get to our deathbed in order to find our purpose. Okay, but my suggestion here really is, you know, to find your purpose in advance. You don't have to go to the ends of the earth or to the end of your life in order to make that happen. I believe that we all know, okay, in advance what we're supposed to be doing. Cahill Gibran says that children are born with all knowledge, and it just needs to be questioned.
Absolutely.
And the truth of the matter is that if we come to this planet in order to serve a purpose, okay, and we perhaps choose our parents, okay, and the way in which we're going to live and where and how, and location is everything, okay, and if we start doing that, then what we ought to do is also understand that we don't need to rewrite the plan that was given to us. What we need to do is follow through on it. And I think that too many times we keep trying to do what we see other people doing. And it doesn't apply to us.
Right. Well, we learn by example.
Okay, if you're a physicist and it works for you, that's great. But I don't want to be a physicist. I don't know nothing about, you know, being a physicist. Okay, I may understand, may have a vague idea of what that is.
That's not your purpose.
But that's not my purpose, and I probably have no interest in it. And you know, and just because you're successful at it doesn't mean that it's something that I should consider.
Right.
And this is what I find that so many people do. And people come to me, you know, often and they're like, I just can't figure it out. I don't know my purpose. And I ask them, make a list. What are the things that you like to do? What is it that you get caught up in that you totally lose track of time and just forget about what
your mind wanders.
Yeah, and you are just locked in and having a great time, you know, whether it's music, whether it's art. Okay, maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's something, you know, as mundane as fixing appliances. Maybe that's what you do. Okay, but whatever it is that you do, okay, you should be aware of that. That's what gives you peace. That's what gives you joy. That is your contribution. That is your purpose. That is your plan of action. And stop trying to be something that you're not, in order to satisfy the whims of someone else, or to think that this is going to make you more money, or that this is going to make you happier. Okay?
I think a big portion of it is definitely the issue of confidence and everything like that. I think a lot of people say confidence comes from experience. But you and I have spoken about how infants think. They just sort of go by without fear. They just go for it. I think a big thing of confidence is not saying, I've done this enough times where now I'm not scared. I think it's not having the fear and just saying, I'm going to try anyway, and I'm going to learn from every experience, and I'm going to fail as quickly as I can so I can get better. And I want it. And I think, again, that's where intent plays the purpose. Find what your purpose is and say that you want it more than you're afraid of it, because we all succumb to fear all the time, because we don't know. We don't want to look goofy, because now there's camera phones everywhere. It's easy to just sort of tweet, oh, this guy's being an idiot, he looks goofy, as opposed to saying, I'd rather look goofy for a little bit than wake up every morning and go to a life I don't really want, or a life that's not made for me, or a life that I don't feel that I'm co-creating in. I think that's the most important thing about confidence, is saying that I love myself enough to fail and go experience all these new things so that maybe I can get to the path that I want. And it's not so much maybe I'm going to get there, it's that if this is my purpose, I'm going to get there. Whether it's right now, tomorrow, a year from now, I'm going to start right now and think, I am going to make the reality I want. I believe fully that we are reality technicians. We fundamentally create the reality that we want every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to throw something else in there in the mix. I think that a lot of times, the main reason why we don't follow through on our dreams, our hopes, our desires is mainly because of our relationships.
Absolutely.
Our relationships take us in a different direction. We are so busy trying to please somebody else instead of following through on our own objectives, our own purpose, and we just kind of lose sight of our goals.
Because it's easy to give into a relationship, because honestly, sometimes we get into relationships so we don't have to focus.
I think this is true.
It's a distraction, and we say, oh, you know what?
And it does become a distraction.
Because it's easier to say, I'm going to be a good husband or wife, as opposed to saying, I'm going to be a good person myself and love me. And I'm going to, anytime they give me grief, I'm just going to say, well, my marriage is failing. Of course it's easy to fail, and I don't have motivation. It's very easy to be almost self-conned into saying, I want to be this one.
But, there are people who believe in heaven and hell. And, my contention is this. Okay, so what if you die tomorrow? If you went to the gates of heaven, all right, what would you tell St. Peter at the gate? That you did with your life? Because St. Peter's going to ask you, do what we sent you down there to do? No. Okay, I was too busy running behind my lover, or I was too busy trying to make them happy, or, the kids were getting on my nerves, or I just never got around to it. I didn't have enough time.
Or you might say, I had a purpose? I was supposed to do something? And then just you go down, I guess. But it hits the button of wrong answer.
Yeah, so, if you believe in heaven and hell, then why aren't you living your purpose? Because honestly speaking, you might be,
I genuinely think
sabotaging yourself.
I genuinely think this is heaven. I think this one life we have, whether we're reincarnated or we go to an afterlife or not, this is the heaven we're given. There's no greater joy than knowing we have free will. And if we want to make it a hell, that's fine. If we want to be sabotaged personally or let other people sabotage us, because God knows there's 1,000 people who want to every day see you fail, well, that's up to us. And the moment we stop thinking the world is against us as opposed to we're against the world or anything like that, and we realize I'm going to affect the world, it's not going to affect me. I'm going to be the positive change, that whole cliche. But it's more than a cliche. It's really, I am not going to let everything in front of me stop what I want. And that's not selfish. That's just owning what you're here for. You're owning your purpose, and you're loving yourself. And then finally you can love others.
Well, you're loving yourself enough to give yourself the right to live your purpose.
The consent.
Okay? That the consent. And if you don't do that, then you're going to find that no one else will do it for you. Okay? Other people are more than happy to make decisions for you. And as I always say, not making a decision is a decision, and other people will be happy to decide for you in order to, better their own life. Okay? But they're certainly not going to be looking out for you. Okay?
It's the same excuse of, I didn't mean to hurt you in a relationship. Well, you didn't mean to not hurt me either. You didn't make the conscious decision to not hurt me.
Don't you hate that?
I don't hate it. I think it's silly, because it's just the same amount of excuse of, well, it's not that I didn't try, it's just I didn't try hard enough, or all this other stuff.
Well, that's the same thing as, I didn't lie to you, but I didn't tell the truth either. What does that mean?
It means that I don't want to admit that I did something I feel bad about. Because the people I respect sometimes are the people who said, yeah, I just didn't care enough not to hurt you. At least they're being honest, and they're
wow.
At least they'll admit.
Wow.
At least they'll admit. You know what? I had other stuff going on. Sorry. As opposed to the people who make 1,000 excuses, and I myself suffer from it sometimes. I have an excuse for everything. I have an answer for everything, because in my mind I'm justified. But that doesn't mean what I'm doing is correct for other people or myself, because I'm sabotaging my own sort of light that I could be putting on someone and say, you're right. You know what? I made a mistake. Let's move past it. Let me use that energy I was going to make an excuse and not feel bad to just not feel bad in the future.
How have you, Thomas, in the past, sabotaged yourself and your purpose?
I don't know how long can this broadcast go. This might be more days than I think we have
I don't have
energy. But How have I sabotaged my past in relationships or just in general?
In general,
Okay.
whatever you want to share.
Again, I think honestly the biggest thing in my life in the past, and maybe still a little bit in the present, no one's perfect, and I'll fully admit that I'm not, is that I have a lot of control issues and I have a lot of preconceived notions that I put on people. And like I've seen people in the past and myself, because that's how you almost notice it in other people, you don't really get disappointed with people, you get disappointed in yourself that you put those preconceived notions on people and then they fail. Well, you set it up to fail. I think the biggest thing I do in relationships or business sometimes is assume it has to go a certain way, and if it doesn't, well then I failed, and I can't adapt, and I can't adjust my sails. If I'm not controlling the ship, I'm just lost and I'm going to get shipwrecked. And that's a terribly defeatist way to think. And once I started to stop thinking that way and sort of just appreciate things for what they are and see them for the tools they are, the people they are, the things that I can bring to their life or they can bring to mine, I realized, wow, all this weight is off my shoulders, and now I can just love something for what it is. I can love myself and my own reactions. So I think the second I started to not sabotage things before they even started, life was so much easier. Life was so much more beautiful. You start seeing life in full color. And then you oddly meet other people who are nicer all of a sudden, and you kind of got to think, are they being nicer to me, or am I just not sabotaging myself before I even shake their hand?
Well, maybe you being nicer to you.
Exactly, because I can smile more because I'm not like, oh, this is going to fail before it even begins. Because then why even start anything?
Right.
Why even go into something if you think it's already going to fail? It's a waste of your time and effort.
Right. Well, there's been many instances over my lifetime where I have sabotaged my own growth, sabotaged my purpose, going the wrong direction, and knew good and well I was doing that.
Well, every time.
It's like women always talk about, the men don't ever want to ask for directions, okay? Well, we solved that problem with GPS now, sort of. But the thing is, there were times when I knew I was going the wrong way, and I did it anyway. And it's like I just kept thinking, maybe I'll be rescued, maybe I'm wrong, maybe, something good will happen. Maybe an angel will come down and bless me.
Or arrogantly, I'll get over it because I'm clever.
Or, I can handle this.
Oh,
and there are things that have happened in my life I cannot believe I'm still alive. I mean, I'm like, wow, And there were big risks that I took.
Right.
But I knew I was off track. I knew I wasn't living my purpose. And I knew that life was giving me every indication that, you're going the wrong way, you dummy.
Right.
Stop it, But I kept doing it anyway.
I think that's an important point to make.
And I just wanted to be right.
That's it. I think it's the forcing it. I think it's always thinking that life and society and our friends and our lovers or whatever are out to get us. When I think, honestly, we're here to be happy. I don't think there should be ever a moment that you're made to be unhappy. We're here to create. We're here to smile and find love and give love more than anything. And the second we stop going arrogantly in one direction, especially when we know it's wrong, because honestly, I think we're all cognizant of the fact, whether it's minor or it's a gigantic life decision, we become happy instantly. I mean, literally, the second you change your mind, you change your life. The second you change your mindset, reality is completely different. And it takes until you actually have a fundamental moment like that to realize that it's more than just mumbo jumbo. But the second you have that, and the second you're looking for it, because honestly I believe perception dictates a lot of things. The more you're looking for happiness, the more you find it. The more you're looking for negative people, they flood in because they sense that energy. They sense, I'm going to take something from this person, whether it's time, money, love, attention, which is the biggest thing. People who waste your time and your energy is worse than someone who steals your money, who steals your property, who steals your heart. I think it's just an important thing to not let people do that to you.
Well, one of the things that I want to bring to this broadcast is just that we need to recognize the things that we are doing to ourselves and when it's coming from outside of ourselves, okay? Now, it has been said, and it can be argued, as it has been over history, that everything comes from within us, and we attract, the negativity. And so nothing happens by accident. And I believe that is relevant. But the point I want to make is that if you're not living a life that you want to live, and if you are not expressing yourself and living your purpose and doing what you dream of doing, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're also doing a disservice to your Creator, okay, and to the rest of the world who is waiting on you. As I often tell some of my clients, there are people waiting at a particular junction for you to show up and to show them the way, to give them the guidance that they were told that you would show up and you'd be the angel in their life. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then not only do you fail, but so do they.
And it's selfish.
That's right. And so it's a selfish act, yes. Okay? We all have a purpose, and we need to live their purpose. And people often say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I know you do.
Right.
Okay? I believe that we all know by the time we're 2 years old, we consciously know what our purpose is. Okay? The thing about it is sometimes we look at those things in light of everything else that's going on around us.
Right.
And we kind of shun the things that we came here to do. Okay? I know that I got knocked off course by some random woman I ran into when I was like 18 years old, who just shattered my dreams by telling me that, she was working in the capacity that I wanted to work in as an artist, and I ran into her, and I'm like, that is so cool. I just can't believe you're doing this. Tell me about it. I want to know all about it. And when she started telling me, I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah,
okay? And that
path.
is what she told me. It was like, you don't want to do this. This is not the job you want, blah, blah, blah. This is ages ago. But the thing about it is, she shattered my dream, and as a result, it's caused me to get off course and start looking at other options when the only thing I wanted to do was to be an artist. That's the only thing I came to the planet to do, and I knew that at the time.
And I think that's important. A purpose has to do with your words you speak. As you always say, the words you speak are the actions that come out, and it dictates everything. So if you're having a bad day, and you think your words mean nothing, and then all of a sudden you're talking to someone who's impressionable and who wants to go down this path, you could irrevocably change their life just because you're having a not-so-great day, and all of a sudden you're feeling down in the dumps. Your words have so much power. And even if you don't think you're powerful, and even if you don't think you're important or confident or strong, it doesn't matter. The things you say to people, that dictates how they treat you. It's how you treat yourself. And it really could affect everyone around you, whether you think it's going to or not. But when you have purpose, the words you talk about and the words you speak and the certain phrases you use, it just exudes everything you're trying to go for. And even if you're failing every now and then, people around you are like, wow, you're still living your dream. You still have so much purpose. How do I get that? How do I feel that every day? Because even when you're having a bad day, 2 minutes later, you're smiling. You're doing everything you want to do, and you bounce back, and you have that elastic heart. You have that sort of just, you know what, today's a day, I'm going to start over tomorrow. And a lot of people say they'll wake up, it's a new day, but they don't. They take Monday into Wednesday, they take Wednesday into next month, and they take this year into 10 years.
Yeah.
And one day they wake up and they say, it's too late to have purpose, and that is ridiculous.
Well, it is. And, this is one of the things that, we all should learn from our ancestors and from older people. Sometimes we just write off the elderly and we think, well, what do they know? Their life is over, so, they're no longer relevant, and, blah, blah,
50,
blah.
might as
Just
well write 'em off.
go away, old man, old woman, And the reality is there's so much truth in what they have to share with us. And they have been the trailblazers, okay? The way showers, the light bearers that have helped you to get where you are today, that has given you these options so that you can live the life that you desire, so that you can live your purpose. But the problem is that too often we look past the gift given, and instead we're looking at all the things that are wrong, all the things that go against our ideals, okay? And we fight against, those that have a different opinion. Okay, the hardest thing I think in life is for most people to realize that other people just don't think like they do. Okay,
Or we expect people to read our minds. And
exactly.
Just know. Why didn't you know I was going to do that?
Why didn't you know? Okay, or why did you talk to me like? Why did you say those things?
Or the key phrase, why did you let me do that?
Yeah, okay, that's a good one too. And it's like we just don't want to take responsibility for anything. We think that everything is not our fault, and we had no choice. How many times a day do we say, you know, it wasn't my fault or I had no choice.
Control.
You know, yeah. And if that's the case, if this is what you're going to claim, then so shall your life be. The conditions in your life are contingent upon, you know, that which you call up, that which you create, that which you draw into your life, that which you accept, because you're the one who's teaching other people how to treat you, but what you let them get away with.
And saying I have no control is the same as saying it's not my fault.
It's not my fault. That's right.
But it's your fault. You didn't have control even a little.
Why didn't you have control?
Now, if a bus
What were you thinking?
If a bus comes and hits you and it veered off and you were just standing there waiting for the bus, all right, I understand. But if you let a relationship get to a breaking point and you didn't feel like changing it, and you didn't have your intention anymore and your love there anymore, you can't say that it's not your fault that it just went on the white side. You could change it every day if you really wanted to. Now, maybe your intent needs to be that you don't want to be in that relationship and you need to have emotional honesty. And that's a big thing, too. Emotional honesty for yourself of what you want your purpose to be. Now, if you want to be, a performer, and your whole family says, no, get a trade, that's embarrassing, and you can't honestly express even to yourself, I want to be a performer, I want to be an artist, well, you're never going to live with purpose because you're never going to be living your dream. You're never going to be living the life you wanted to choose. You need that emotional honesty, and that's the biggest thing of courage you could have. And you can't find purpose without that. Right. But you have the control to admit to yourself, at least, I want to do that. You don't have to tell everyone. You don't have to be...
Well, I believe that this is the reason why there's so many teenage suicides and people become drug addicts and alcoholics and things of that sort, mainly because they knew what they wanted to do. They had a plan, okay, but somehow they got foiled, okay, and they couldn't grasp control of the situation anymore, and they just chose not to deal anymore. They threw up their hands and said, forget it. I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore, and I think that the reason is because we don't feel like we're fulfilling our purpose or that we have the capabilities of doing it from where we are. The conditions in our lives, we don't take responsibility for them, but the conditions in our lives don't allow us, okay, to do that because we have boxed ourselves in. It's like if you play chess. Do you play chess? Yeah. Okay, so if you play chess and sometimes you make a bad move and the whole objective is to keep your king from getting captured. But if you make a bad move and your king is blocked in and can't move and the pieces around it can't move because you will be captured, then, that's your fault.
Well, I think the problem is we constantly keep putting pawns in front of pawns. And then we look at that pawn behind the other pawn and say to ourselves, well, it's ruined now. And you're focusing on such a small piece, even though pawns might be the heart of chess, as anyone says, you still have a bigger objective. You can move around. There's always other options. And options are a big deal.
Right.
You can't get stuck. You can't get mentally stuck.
Well, getting stuck is the whole issue here. And this is something that I want to talk about maybe tomorrow or the day after, okay, is the fact that we get to a point in our lives where we think that we are stuck. And that's when we throw in the towel. Yeah. We stop. Okay? Something didn't work out the way we wanted it to. We felt like everything was going the way it should have, and we're on track. Everything is good. Okay? And then, something goes wrong. Okay? And we weren't ready to receive that. Okay, and what ends up happening is it throws us all off course. We raise hell, throw up our hands, and we cuss and fuss, and we just do a whole number on ourselves, and as a result, we give up on our purpose.
Well, I will personally say and purposefully say the biggest terrible things that ever happened in my life that weren't about losing someone to death or anything like that is always been about stagnation. The second I let myself get stagnant and comfortable and just think I'm resting on my laurels and life is good and whatever, a month later something big happens because apparently life is like, stop not creating, stop being stagnant. And then I initially feel, why couldn't life just stay how it is? It was perfect. But it wasn't perfect. It was good for that moment. Appreciate it, because always appreciate every good thing you have every single day. But I needed to keep going. The train couldn't stop at that station.
Well, see, that's the thing, okay? And that's why we say we're stuck, okay? We can't do anything. I've talked to so many homeless people. I've talked to so many drug addicts. I've talked to so many people who have gone through horrific relationships, who have just gotten out of jail, or people who have had tremendous hardship. And every one of them somehow came to the conclusion somehow that they were stuck. There was no move left for them to take, okay? And as a result, they did whatever was what they thought was possible, okay, or the next best thing in their mind, okay, and as a result, they ended up putting themselves in a deeper hole.
The problem with life and with chess is that you can knock over your king whenever you want.
I love that.
You can say, I was playing, with someone a couple weeks ago, and there's that whole 4-move checkmate sort of thing that you always do with beginners because it's funny, and you kind of just want to have it like light because you don't always want a serious chess match with a beginner because they feel bad and they don't want to play, and then you don't get to play with anyone. So you'll do that for fun and everything, and then you'll play the second game and the third game, and by the third game, if they're not winning because they're beginners, halfway through the game, when they have options, they have a lot of options, they just don't know how to see them yet, they'll knock over their king and just say, oh, I don't want to play anymore, I'm not good at it. How do you get better at something if you don't try anymore? No one is born innate. Even prodigies have to keep practicing. They have to strive for more. There's no more common of a cliche in life than a talented genius who wastes it away.
Well, one of my favorite poems, and I always seem to mess this up, but I will give you the gist of it, okay, is he who knows not and knows that he knows not, he's a student teacher. And he who knows and knows that he knows, he's a teacher, follow him. But he who knows not and knows not that he knows not,
right,
okay, he's a fool, avoid him. And this is the thing that I think, is basically my mantra, because I classify people, I do, okay? We all judge.
Absolutely.
We pretend that we don't, and we say, oh, don't judge me, but the reality is that we rely on our judgment to survive. If we didn't, just think what kind of chaotic mess we'd be living in. But the point is that, we have to judge. And I like to classify people as the student, the teacher, or the fool, okay? And for me, it helps me to know just how much I'm going to give in this situation, okay?
And I think we can all fall between each all
That's
day.
right, and that's the key right there. Thomas, you're absolutely right. Because sometimes I'm the fool.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I'm the teacher, and sometimes I'm the student. So I know when to say, I don't know. And I don't mind. I hate when people just can't say, I don't know. They will do anything or say anything else other than, I don't know.
I think a big part is realizing that we come from a culture, the Western culture, of guilt. We have guilt that we don't know things. We have guilt that we don't know how to produce like everyone else. I mean, a funny joke on a show I love is this guy who's 30 years old, and he's like, I've been too scared my whole life to say that I don't know what 2% milk is. I don't know what the other 98% is. And it's supposed to be a funny show, but I think a lot of people feel like that, like, oh God, I'm 30 and I don't know how to do I don't know how to do laundry. I don't know when to say anything, so I will just not do laundry. I've known people like that, and I've done the same thing. Sometimes there's something so basic, or I mispronounce a word and no one's been kind enough to tell me, hey, you look like an idiot every day when you're saying that. And I think we take ourselves way too seriously. Life is serious because it has purpose, and it has to have purpose.
But only if you live in your purpose.
Right. And if not, even if you're living your purpose, it's okay to laugh at yourself. It's okay to be the fool and realize that you want to be the student again. It's all cyclical. You don't have to be the fool forever, and you don't have to be the teacher. You don't always have to think, I can't look silly for 5 minutes, I can't learn something, because the second you stop learning, you're living a passive death anyway. You're not progressing. You're not going to be happy.
Well, life is ongoing, and people don't understand, and I'll go back to where we came in at, okay? And that is that everything is energy. Everything is God, spirit, Buddha, Allah, whatever you prefer to call it. And that energy, that entity, that connection between us all, okay, basically determines, what happens in our lives, and we are the one who are supposed to direct that energy. Okay, we're co-creators with God, and the way in which you create is by calling forth that which you desire and direct that energy that exists within and around you in a certain direction, and staying committed to it. Okay, so that you can draw it into your life. Some people like to call that the law of attraction.
Sure.
Okay, and you know, your consciousness and your words and your actions and all are going to manifest physically. Period. That's a given.
Negative and
okay?
positive.
That's negatively and positively. That's right.
You can say, I have no worth, or I'm worth it.
That's
Give
right.
me the thing I
That's
want.
Right. Okay, and this is why some people live a rich, prosperous, and happy life, and other people, you know, they live like paupers and can't struggle. I mean, can't do without struggle, living under a bridge. Okay, and it's only because of their own consciousness and their self-worth.
And it's also the same thing of people who have happy marriages or could have happy marriages.
Exactly.
Or they have great partners who actually fit them, but they think, well, they don't have this one thing I want. And I never asked them in the beginning if they have that quality. I never said, is this important to you? And we didn't speak enough.
You know what I find too often, okay, is I counsel a lot of couples, and you know what I find too often, okay, is that they keep, when they meet somebody in the beginning, they keep thinking, oh, I can fix that. Oh, that's no problem. Oh, I can change. Well, that's not so bad. And, you know, and the person is telling you the truth from
like,
the
I'm bad at
beginning.
this.
I am not going to do this,
Right.
and I had a problem in the relationship because of that, and I don't understand these things, and I don't want to do that. And the problem is you don't believe it.
What's the weird thing is, though, is we don't want to control the bad things about ourselves. We don't want to admit that, but we are so happy to control and try to fix things in other people's lives. Like, oh, he says he doesn't do the dishes, or she says she sometimes lies about small things and it has bothered people in the past. And we just think, oh, no, I'll fix that later because I'm cocky enough to say it, or I can affect change. But in ourselves, we don't think, I know I do this bad thing, and you know what, today I'm going to fix it. I'd rather just focus on someone else because I can blame them later.
No, and when we get caught, what do we say? Well, you know, you still love me. No, you're supposed to love me anyway. I never thought you would say anything about it. If you really loved me, then you wouldn't blame me for this thing. You would overlook my idiosyncrasies, you know.
Well, it's the same thing for ourselves. If we really loved ourselves, we wouldn't lament on the fact that we're miserable failures and that we aren't happy and everything else.
Yeah.
If you love someone, you will accept them for all their faults and try to raise them up. It's not accepting it and saying, okay, well, good. You love drinking every night and you try to drive every night. I accept that and you're cool with that. It's saying, I love you enough to nag you to stop doing this and try to show you every day that you have worth. You're putting yourself at risk. I love you very much. Please don't take away the thing I love, and don't take away your own light. Even when I'm not here, don't waste your power and your essence and everything else.
Yeah, but what does the other person hear?
You're nagging me and I'm awful.
That's right.
Because when you because when they're crying later, drunk or not drunk, they still say, oh, I'm terrible, you must hate me now. You shouldn't worry if I hate you right now. You should worry, are you loving yourself? And if you love yourself, I can't help but love you. When I walk into a room and I'm confident, people can't help but think, no matter what I think about him right off the bat, there's something about this guy, I want to hear him, or I want to listen to him, or I want to hate him just a little bit less to at least hear him out for a second. And the second you drop that self-love and confidence, people feel it and they will prey on that. And it's the same thing for yourself. The second you don't feel confident in yourself, you prey on that with negative thoughts. And what a loss of energy and time. You could be thinking, you know what, I am pretty good. I'm not the best yet.
Well, yeah, I can't think of who the author of this saying was, but, you know, the best thing about love is how it makes me love myself. I take better care of myself, okay? You know, my hygiene, okay? Maybe I dress a little better. I feel a little better. I'm a little more confident than I normally am. Okay, I've got a purpose. I got a plan of action. I know what we're going to do on this date. And I'm just happy. Can't wait to see you again. You just make me feel good about myself. Okay? That's the best thing about a love relationship. Okay? It's not always about the other person.
No.
But sometimes we put too much attention on that person that we're in love with, and we're not recognizing the best thing about it is what it does for me. You know, look at me. Look what I can do because that person loves me.
I've always felt, and I felt it since like 17, even though I didn't always find love the right way. You know, I think the biggest thing about loving someone is I don't love everything about them. I don't love their qualities so much. I love the way they make me feel and they make me want to be better. And if I find someone who makes me strive every day, but not by nagging me, but by saying, you know, I see these qualities. I don't know if you've seen them, but I love when you, honestly, the relationship I'm in right now, I think the most fundamental thing that I've ever found so striking about her is she'll pull me aside and say, I don't know if you ever noticed about this, but I like this about you. And I'm like, well, thank you very much.
Does that just blow you away?
It does, because I'm so not cognizant sometimes of what I'm doing. I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. You know, maybe I'm funny, maybe I'm not, or whatever. And then sometimes someone will pull you aside who you actually respect and say, I really like this. I hope you keep doing it. And you think, all right, maybe I need to focus a little more energy on this. That's great. That's another gift that I didn't even know I was giving to someone else or myself.
Yeah, but you don't want to overdo it.
No, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I do want to acknowledge that.
You do want to toot your own horn. You should toot your own horn.
I don't want to toot my horn in the same way that makes me have a big head all of a sudden. That, like, yeah, you're right, I do that really well.
Some people need to do that, okay? Some people who are failing drastically in their lives.
You need to celebrate yourself every day.
Because,
yeah,
if you're not doing that, then, basically you deserve it.
Well, if you're not celebrating yourself, I don't know anyone else is going.
Nobody else is going.
Because sometimes I need to be able to walk into a room and say, I do this very well. Yeah. And I have no shame, and you can call me out on it.
But I get so angry, and I should be better at this, but I get so angry when people challenge things that I know that I am not only good at, but the best at. Right. And do not do, because you got a problem out of me.
I welcome that strictly because when I know I'm good at something, I love to show off because I'm proud of it, because there's so many things I'm not good at.
Well, I like to show off, but also for me, sometimes it's more than just showing off. It's like, how dare you even think that, But
I think a lot of people do that because
challenge me on
I think a lot of people challenge it because they honestly want to believe that. Sometimes like Houdini, he was the biggest caller outer of fake spiritualism and things like that. It's because inside, and he admitted it, he wanted to believe something, and he wanted so powerfully to find something good in life and that magic in life that he went out and looked for it. And sometimes doubting something in the beginning is fantastic, because as long as you're open to it, as long as you're not doubting, saying, well, that's not my belief, I don't like it, you're wrong, I'm going to walk away. If I doubt you and say, well, why do you think that? That's me opening myself up to objections and you to prove me wrong or prove you right or whatever you want to call it. I think that's beautiful, because that's how we learn. We say, I don't know if that's true. Show me why it's true, as long as you're not closed off to it.
Well, what can we leave our viewers with today to make them, first of all, live their purpose, to understand that this is a conscious choice, okay? And if you are not consciously trying to stay on purpose and do what it is that you came to the planet to do, then you're going to find you're going to fail at everything else that you attempt. It's just that simple.
I would love people to every day start with taking alone time in the bathroom. If you have a mirror and you have like a little dry erase marker, look at yourself and close your eyes for a second and let your mind wander for a moment. Maybe you have a bath in the morning, maybe you have a shower. I get my best thinking done in the shower. Where does my mind wander to? What am I not doing that I can't help but think about every day? Is it a drive? Is it a purpose? Is it a career move? Is it a person?
That butt naked motivation.
Absolutely,
that's
because
right.
I'm bare. I have no suit to wear. I have
that's right.
All I have is my smile and my hair. That's all I can do.
That's right.
And when I open my eyes, I do this sometimes. I will write down the top 3 things I was thinking about, because they make me happy, and no one can see me. Unashamedly, I say, I really want this. I really love this. And if some of them are self-destructive and they're habits that I know are just because I'm being weak, I'll erase it. And usually there's at least one that says, all right, that's good for me. That is a positive energy. That is a person or a place or an object or a driving career force that I can do. And enough days of that, give it 30 days of every day writing down what you know you love and looking at yourself, because you have to account for yourself. You have to have self-reliance and accountability. Now I can go outside and tell my partner or a friend or tell 10 people, hey, you know what? I really want to go do this. And no matter what the reaction is, positive or negative, I'm going to still go do it.
Well, one of the things that I totally believe in, and this may be my own selfishness or come from my own experience, and it is simply this, and that is I share with people on a need-to-know basis. Why? Because I'm really not interested. When I know I'm living my purpose, I'm really not interested in what you think about it.
Right.
Okay? Tell me about it some other time when I have blown it up, okay, and I'm showing it to the whole world. Because I'm going to do anyway.
I like telling other people strictly because I want them to say something negative and see if I still go do it. Because if I still
I don't want to hear the negativity. You know, if that's all you got to offer, you know, then you and I probably won't be friends.
Probably
you
not,
know?
and it's a good way to cut him. it's a good litmus test to say, well,
yeah, you know.
if you don't want to support my purpose, you're a speed bump. You're either a road or a speed bump. And we can ride on together,
That's right.
or I can just roll over you and move on.
That's right.
I'll slow down for a second, but I'm going to go over you, and I'm going to keep going, because the road is there.
Right. Now, this is the way in which we have to conduct our lives and be very serious about it. Okay? We can play and have fun, and we should. Okay? But the thing is, we do have to set boundaries. Okay? And we have to hold ourselves accountable.
And take ourselves seriously.
That's right.
It's not a joke,
That's
but
right.
maybe I want to go do this. No, I am going to do this, and anyone who doesn't take me seriously, that's okay, because I'm taking myself seriously. And eventually, I'm going to succeed so hard that people are going to say, how did you do that? And I'll tell them. And I will be so proud of myself that I can't help but smile, and my purpose will exude from me.
Well, thank you, everyone, all our listeners.
Thank you.
This is me and Thomas, day by day, I tell you. We love each other, okay? We learn from each other, and we hope that we can share something with you and that you will share with us as well. In the meantime, be blessed in all you do, and know that we love you.
Thank you.